Chapter 1: The Hidden Order. Before he was the most famous mind on earth, Albert Einstein was a slow, stubborn child, one who could not stop asking what was hiding behind the world. When he was 4 or 5, sick in bed, his father handed him a compass. The needle swung, and no matter how he turned the case, it kept pointing the same way, pulled by something he could not see. He never forgot it. Decades later, he still spoke of the shiver it gave him, the certainty that, in his words, something deeply hidden had to be behind things. It is the whole of him, already there, a faith that the world runs on a hidden order, and a hunger to find it. But the same boy who trusted the order of nature would bow to no order made by men. He hated his Munich school, with its rote drills and its teachers who behaved, he said, like drill sergeants. At 16, he did something drastic. He gave up his German citizenship rather than be conscripted into its army, and made himself, on purpose, a person of no country. A foolish faith in authority, he wrote, is the worst enemy of truth. 2 instincts, but really one. Trust the hidden law. Distrust every man who claims to speak for it. That defiance had a price. He failed his first university entrance exam. He graduated near the bottom of his class, and when every one of his classmates was handed a post, he was handed nothing. I was suddenly abandoned by everyone, he remembered. For 2 years, the young man who would remake physics could not get a job in it, tutoring schoolboys, sending out letters that came back unanswered. The world had looked at Albert Einstein and decided it had no use for him. He found work at last as a junior clerk in the Swiss patent office in Bern, 3rd class. His days were spent judging other men's inventions, many of them machines for synchronizing clocks by signals of light. And in the drawer of his desk, between applications, he hid the private notebooks where he was quietly taking apart time itself. The greatest physicist of the age, completely invisible, hatching his revolution, as he called it, in that worldly cloister. Chapter 2: The Man Who Toppled Newton. Then, in a single year, the clerk who could not get a job took the universe apart. It was 1905. In stolen hours after work, he wrote a handful of papers that each could have made a career. Light behaving as particles, proof that atoms were real, and then the one that broke physics. For 200 years, everyone had taken it for granted that time was absolute, one universal clock, ticking the same for all. Einstein simply refused to take it for granted. An analysis of the concept of time, he said, was my solution. He did not disprove Newton's clock. He asked the question no one else had dared. Who said there was only one? He had no laboratory. His instrument was his imagination. The leap that carried him to gravity came as what he called the happiest thought of my life. The realization that a person falling freely does not feel their own weight. From that single picture in his head, he reached for the force that holds the planets and began, gently, to bend the work of Isaac Newton himself. It did not come quickly. It took 8 years and forced him to master the higher mathematics he had once waved off as pure luxury. He filled blackboards. He despaired. He started over. Then, In November of 1915, his equations produced a number, the exact tiny wobble in the orbit of Mercury that had defeated astronomers for 60 years. It matched. He wrote that his heart actually raced, that something inside him had snapped. He had found the hidden order he had believed in since he was a boy with a compass. The final proof came from the sky. In May of 1919, astronomers photographed a total eclipse and measured the light of distant stars bending around the sun by exactly the amount Einstein had predicted, and an amount Newton could not explain. Overnight, 2 centuries of certainty gave way. The outsider had been right, and to the giant he had just overturned, he wrote almost tenderly, "Newton, forgive me." Chapter 3: The Most Famous Mind Alive. The world had never turned a scientist into a god before. It would not quite know what to do with him, and neither quite would he. He became, almost instantly, the most famous human being alive, mobbed in the streets of New York, of Tokyo, of Jerusalem, his face turned into the very picture of genius. And here is the irony at the center of the man. The boy who would bow to no authority woke up to find that he had become one, the world's authority, asked his opinion on everything. "To punish me for my contempt of authority," he wrote, with a thin smile, "fate has made me an authority myself." And then, for the first time, his great refusal turned against the future. A strange new physics was rising, quantum mechanics, built on chance, on the idea that nature, at its very root, plays dice. Einstein had helped invent it. Now he could not accept it. God, he insisted, does not play dice. The most daring mind of the age had met an idea it would not bend to, and this time, the revolutionary was standing in the revolution's way. His friend Niels Bohr finally snapped back. "Einstein, stop telling God what to do." Chapter 4: The Heretic. Now the world he had remade turned dangerous, and the man who never bowed found, in his last years, new things he would refuse. He had spent his whole life in motion. Born in Ulm, a schoolboy in Munich, his father's business failing, the family scattering to Italy, a restless student in Aarau, then Zurich, the patent clerk in Bern, a professor in Prague, and at last in Berlin, the center of the scientific world. And then, in 1933, it ended. When Hitler took power, Einstein, a Jew, and the loudest free voice in Europe, could never go home. Leaving his lakeside cottage for the last time, he told his wife, "Take a very good look. You will never see it again." He surrendered his German passport at the border and crossed the sea, stateless once more, and for good. In America, the pacifist faced the hardest refusal of his life, the refusal of his own pacifism. In 1939, afraid that Hitler would build an atomic bomb first, he signed a single letter to President Roosevelt, warning that such a weapon was now possible. That letter helped launch the Manhattan Project, which then judged Einstein himself too great a security risk to let inside it. He lit the fuse and was locked out of the room. When the bomb fell on Hiroshima, he said only, "Oh my God." Later he was blunt. "Had I known the Germans would not succeed, I would never have lifted a finger. He never did learn to bow. As America sank into the fear of the McCarthy years, Einstein told those dragged before its committees to refuse, flatly, to testify. He spoke up for the rights of Black Americans when powerful people wished he would stay quiet. He was offered the presidency of the new state of Israel and turned it down. And all the while, his own government's police were filling more than 1,400 pages trying to prove that the conscience of the world was a threat to it. To the very end, he answered power with the same word he always had, no. But the same refusal that had freed him now closed around him. For 30 years, he chased a single theory to unite all the forces of nature, and the world of physics moved on without him, certain he was hunting a ghost. He knew how he looked. A heretic, he called himself, who has outlived himself. The gesture that had once made him a revolutionary had left him an old man alone at a blackboard. And the strangest twist of all, on the quantum, on the very thing they were so sure he was wrong about, he may have been more right than anyone knew. In 1955, his doctors told him an operation might buy a little more time. He refused that too. It is tasteless, he said, to prolong life artificially. I have done my share. It is time to go. I will do it elegantly. He died that night. On the table beside him lay 12 pages of equations, the unfinished theory. He was still reaching. He was still refusing to stop. He waved away the word genius to the very end. I have no special talents, he said. I am only passionately curious. That was always the truth of him. A child who trusted there was an order behind the world, and a man who refused, to his last breath, to bow to anyone who told him to stop looking. The same gesture, from the compass to the blackboard,